All right, Browns did make some roster moves, and you alluded to it. Here's what they have done. These guys had their contracts terminated. Tyler Huntley, Nick Needham, safety, biggest name that really had that. Barton, the tackle, and Tony Brown. Then they waived a bunch of players as well. Canella was the fourth tight end. Javion Cohn. Some of these guys could come back potentially on the practice squad. Um, there really wasn't anybody that stood out. I mean, I guess Cohn and maybe Needham were the two biggest names. Did anybody surprise you in the first round of cutdowns?
Yeah, I honestly thought they were going to keep Jackson Barton. He was the first guy up after Dwan Jones quite a bit throughout. Once Cornelius Lucas was hurt from the second preseason game, you kind of saw him stepping up in that role, and so I thought they'd keep 10, and he'd be the 10th guy they kept. Seemed and clearly because of how many offensive linemen were let go in that group, I kind of wonder if that's going to be a spot that they look to maybe add via the waiver wire based on other teams' players that get waived here at the end of before for roster cutdown day. So we'll see, but that one sort of stood out. Also, Tony Brown, just because he's been such a special teams ace for this team. But I think we all saw in the Rams game this weekend that he very much is strictly a special teams guy. Doesn't really offer much in the way of like depth at the cornerback position. He's not really a guy that you can count on out there in that role. So maybe they bring him back in the practice squad and he can still sort of serve that role because you can obviously elevate a guy or elevate guys off the practice squad now for games, and so maybe that's something they can do with Tony Brown. But we'll see. But those are the two that stood out the most to me, and just kind of counting positions in terms of guys that they didn't keep. I'm interested to see how the rest of this shakes out. I think the secondary is something that is an issue. Don't have a lot of depth at the cornerback spot in particular. Does that mean they keep an extra safety potentially? Does that mean they just keep six corners just for the time being because they want the bodies, and then maybe try to find somebody through waivers? We'll see. But I think that group has some room to give in terms of opportunities and roles further down the depth chart. And then I also kind of wonder about just the wide receiver room and whether or not they keep six. I think they will. And I have Gage Larvadan as my last guy that they will keep in my sort of head. But I don't know, like maybe they keep Deontay Johnson because they feel like the talent's there. We'll see. He didn't have a really good end of camp, so I've kind of left him out of the picture. But that's an interesting group as well. And then the running back room, do we get any answers or signals of what's going to happen with Quinshon Judkins if they only keep three, or if they, maybe cut two and Quinshon's coming back immediately? We'll have to kind of see what that all looks like. But those are just some other areas that'll kind of have my eyes on here. I also think it's pretty obvious at this point, Dave, they're keeping the four quarterbacks. Andrew Berry basically all but confirmed that on the broadcast over the weekend. So I know that would surprise people normally, but I think we've all kind of gotten used to the idea that that's going to be the case.